So here we are, my friend and Registered Recovery Board member. So excited to see her. I haven't seen her in a while, thanks to COVID and all that good stuff. And so, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So we can dive right in and just ask you why roads? What about Registered Recovery pulled you in the direction of wanting to be on the board here? And we're thankful that you are, very thankful.
My brother died of an overdose 3 years ago this month. And after he died, we had dealt with his addiction for 23 years. And after he died, I decided I wanted to do something to hopefully help others who were struggling with some of the things that he had struggled with. And I looked into a few organizations in Lynchburg and developed a good rapport with Sandy, and Roads to Recovery was it.
Well, that's awesome. I already confess to know most of your story when it comes to that. But I don't know if I've ever asked you specifically what your brother's addiction, what toll it took on your family. How is a family affected as much? I know when I was in my addiction, I just blamed my family instead of really, now I realized what I put them through. But I don't think I've ever asked you or really that many people.
I think it definitely compromised his relationships with my parents and with me. And I know with a lot of his friends and a lot of our extended family members, just because I don't think we really understood what he was dealing with. And I think it's perceived by people who are in the throes of dealing with a loved one who is suffering from addiction as a very selfish disease. And it was, I think, easy to write it off as he's selfish. I don't want to be around him. He's making choices that are hurting me and benefiting him. Which is part of the reason that I think I wanted to join forces with something like Roads, because I wanted to understand it, and I wish I had taken those steps when he was still here. But I think it's a disease that you don't understand until you've been through it and seen what it does. But yeah, I think relationships were the big thing. Family functions were hard because you never knew which version of him was going to show up. So yeah, I have friends who I still struggle with because they didn't understand him and what dealing with him did to me growing up.
I bet it was hard.
Yeah.
I certainly know, like you say, family functions, all that. I used to say that was probably when it was like holidays and stuff like that, when people say it's so hard for an addict to get through those days. But I kind of think I drank or used less drugs on those days just because I knew I had to be around a lot of people and I didn't want to make a spectacle of myself or my family. But what are your views on the disease of addiction now that you've really immersed yourself in Roads to Recovery and just learning that stuff? I mean, you're a doctor for basics, so you know. But.
I think I have a better understanding now of it wasn't that he was making selfish decisions. It was that he was doing what he had to do to keep himself going and, feed the addiction that he was suffering from. I think it's a lot easier to understand when you're not in the middle of it and when it doesn't feel personal and doesn't feel like something you're doing battle with every day. I think I have a better understanding now of the fact that it wasn't easy for him and he wasn't making easy decisions.
Do you think medical professionals, like you went through med school and all that, do you think they spend enough time during your schooling and study focusing on the disease of addiction? Do you think it's kind of just overlooked a little bit?
I have been out of residency for 14 years now. So I think probably as a society understood the issue with addiction better, I think hopefully now things are better than they were back then. And I can't speak to what they do now, but I can say back then that no, not enough time or not any time really was spent on addiction and discussing we certainly discussed individual drugs and what they do and what problems they can cause and so forth, but actually dealing with addiction, certainly not much
Yeah, I get that.
time.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Now that we're trying to get recovery as possible out there, addiction is a disease that you can get under control. I'm living proof of that. I never thought it was possible. Um, I mean, I really didn't. I thought my life was over at 45 years old. I just thought it was over. I'm never going to be able to do this. And having board members such as yourself who give of themselves and put a face and a spotlight on substance use disorders and recovery. I like talking about recovery more than I like talking about the addiction. But of course, the recovery comes along hand in hand with that. And like I interviewed Julie before, and I don't know if I've ever really told you eye to eye how much I sincerely appreciate the time that you invest. And I know you're a busy woman and dealing with this COVID and all of its craziness and time constraints, and the fact that you show up for something like this, the board meetings, taking the time to get to know me, uh, it means a lot. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Um, and I admire you for taking something traumatic and upsetting and like your brother's overdose, but doing something positive with it instead of if more people could do that and really just reach out and try to do something to understand and to promote recovery in this organization that you know it's really working to get its name out there, that we're here to help people. It's just really important. So thank you.
Thank you.